C2 Wrestling, baby, coming at you yet again with another podcast. This is episode 7, if I am correct. It is already getting jumbled up. It could be episode 207 for all I know. I want to get right into it, but I do want to say briefly, if you haven't checked it out, we just put up a Raw review from this past Monday's Raw only a couple days ago. Go check that out. It's probably our funniest video yet. It's pretty much a podcast, if you want me to be honest. Check that one out. But it's been a week of wrestling. What do you want to talk about?
I do actually want to get something off my chest before we get into wrestling, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I feel a personal guilt.
Ooh, okay.
Years ago, when we were in high school,
Mm-hmm.
senior year of high school, I was on the volleyball team.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
And there was a kid. So volleyball for the boys is in the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
And it was volleyball season, and there was a kid on the team named Josh who showed up one day. It was 85 degrees out, a little under that. He showed up one day in his brand new varsity jacket. He was so excited that he finally got it that he wore it, and it was 95 degrees. You know, it's inside our gym. You know the high school. There's no ventilation.
No ventilation in that
It's
shit.
unreal hot.
Anti-ventilation.
And we ripped him for weeks. And I can't lie. I sit here. I got this piece delivered today. I put it on and I was like, you know what? I knew what Josh was talking about. It's not cold in my apartment right now. It's very comfortable, but I got this piece on and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just let me flex on him for a second. Let me leave it on for the pod.
Yeah, sometimes, you know what? Sometimes you just got to flex on them, you know? Sometimes you just got to show off that varsity jacket. Let them know you're the best cello player in the band. I don't know. It looks pretty good, though. Solid jacket.
It's
a tight fit.
I just had to get that off my chest to release that. I know I'm hypocritical and no one else would know this, but it was weighing me down. Now we can talk the graps.
Yeah, well, we on Monday when we did our review, we had a pretty good setup into a new topic. And speaking of hypocritical, I think there's something else you wanted to get into today. I'm going to let you take the lead here.
Our boy Gunther. I love him. I love him.
Absolutely love him.
I think I'm at the point now where we are so new into this podcast and so new into doing videos on this channel that we can officially brand ourselves wanting to be known as we are Gunther stans. He can do no wrong in my eyes.
Yep. He is the full package, the total package, the whatever you want to call it. In ring, on the mic, look, ability. We hate this word. It's so overused. His aura. When I say that, I think of Ace Ventura with the knives, but it's really the greatest pro wrestler we've arguably had in a long time, in my opinion. And listen, there's other guys that are in ways just as good. Yes, don't get me wrong. It is hard to pick the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling, if you call it. But if you're going to pick a Mount Rushmore of current pro wrestlers, it can be from any company in the world. Gunther's the first name. It's the first name.
Yeah, and honestly, one of the main things that made me want to talk about Gunther is the PWI top 500 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Gunther, I believe he was 9th, which
it's ridiculous.
That is just, I normally don't care about lists. I think they're all dumb, especially in wrestling where it really is just so opinionated.
Opinionated.
What one person likes, another person doesn't. What are we basing this on? Are we basing this on who draws the most amount of money? Are we basing this on who gets the loudest reaction from a crowd? There's no way to quantify it. Yeah. But I just know whatever way you want to quantify it, if it doesn't have Gunther at the very least in your top 3 from this last year,
Mhm.
that feels something wrong. Can you pull up the list? Can you
I'm
pull it up, the top
actually
10?
trying to look at the camera and pulling it up as you say
Yeah,
that right
you're good. Like
now.
I
Yeah.
will I should have, if I was a pro, I would have had it pulled up already,
Yeah, it's all right.
but
It's
I
only
didn't have it
podcast
pulled.
7. It's only podcast 7. Um, let's see. PWI 500
I know
revealed one
Cody
day
was
ago.
one,
Cody was
obviously.
1. I know Swerve was 2. And listen,
Correct.
I do want to talk about this whole top 10 list, actually. Okay. Now, listen, we watch all the wrestling we can. We do have jobs, lives, things like that, a channel. We try to get to everything we can. It is mostly WWE, TNA, AEW, what we catch. I see New Japan stuff. I see CML around, things like that. CML, I've watched it. I catch it when I can. I don't know where a guy like Mystico it pops up on this list. I've seen him around here or there, but he's number 10. That's crazy. Like that's insane to me. Gunther being number 9 is foul. It's honestly disrespectful.
We
Like,
got two we got two words for that,
yeah,
Snowden.
what's that?
Change it.
Change it. Literally change it. Now, lists, like you said, I'm usually not that big on lists, things like that. And I probably have my own top 10 Mount Rushmore. I get it. But the lists, especially I feel like a PWI list, things like that, they're a bit arbitrary. It's not really the most important thing ever. It's all opinionated, but I'm going to list them real quick, top to bottom. Number 1, Cody Rhodes. 2 was Strickland. 3 was Ospreay. 4 was being Seth. I love to see Seth on there. He deserves it. Nato at 5. Priest was at 6, which I also think is deserving. He's great up there. MJF at 7, controversy in that one we're going to discuss. Moxley at 8, controversy in that one we're going to discuss. Gunther 9, Mystico 10. I do want to give the honorary mentions of Samoa Joe and then Sami Zayn, and Drew McIntyre being the next 3 names that I'd probably replace with some of the names that are in the top 10, in all honesty. But Gunther, man, he's not number 1. Cody's number 1. Sure.
And I'm totally cool with Swerve being number 2.
Yeah, if Swerve's not 2, he's 3 to Gunther being 2. If
Absolutely.
Gunther's 3 to Swerve being 2, sure, fine. That's where, again, it's kind of arbitrary. You're kind of just tomato at that point. But Gunther, under. How many matches did MJF wrestle this year? Let's be real, guys.
Not only that, like, I don't want to be that guy, but what the hell did he do?
What the hell did he do? Where's his 666-day title reign that was historic? And the list of people he took out is unbelievable, with incredible matchups and storylines. Like, listen, I'm not even trying to hate on MJF or whatever.
It was last year MJF was that great, not this year.
Yeah. The 5 matches he had, I'm not trying to, even shit on those necessarily, but that's crazy. That's crazy to even have him in the top 20, in my opinion, to be honest. And listen, I will go on record, and I just said I'm not trying to hate on MJF. Between us and our little group, I'm not an MJF fan. I'm not a big MJF fan, and that is a hot take I'm positive of. Now, I don't dislike MJF. I think he's fine. I think he's a little overhyped, overrated, if I'm all being honest. I think he's a little grumpy. That's a little call back to Monday, yeah. But it's interesting with a guy like MJF. There's a very short period of time where, man, he was maybe transitioning to WWE. He stays with AEW. Doesn't matter. Not really. I got to be honest with you guys. AEW, you can love the company if you want. It's okay. You have to realize the bigger picture here, man. And if you're a guy like MJF, to make the decision to not go to WWE is very silly, in my opinion. That would have been what really propelled him to the next big thing. All his promos, repetitive to me. They're very similar, all the same. It's all kind of dissing and just a high amount of shit talking, which you want in pro wrestling, but I don't know, man. He hasn't stuck the landing for me in a while. For him to be in that top 10 is crazy to me.
And look, this isn't even WWE, AEW tribalism, because we both very much so think Swerve is without a doubt in the top 3. I would put him at number 2. I think he had a fantastic year. He also, say whatever you want about the final match with Hangman. That is one of, if not the best stories and rivalries AEW has ever done.
Yeah,
And
it's
he was at the forefront of it, and he was the champion for quite some time.
yeah.
He deserves to be in that spot. MJF, I cannot say the same about.
Yeah. Swerve definitely had the best feud of his life with Hangman. Swerve and Hangman is undoubtedly the best feud AEW's ever had, the best rivalry they had, in my opinion. Briefly, because I want to get back to the list, but talking about their last matchup and the controversy about that, if we haven't mentioned already, I love pro wrestling. I love the Attitude Era, hardcore matches, extreme rules, this, that. Where you lose me is needles. And it's not because I'm gonna throw up or nothing. I know you might. I know you
I won't throw up.
might.
I'll pass out.
Yeah. But like, suffocating with a plastic bag, I'll take that over the needle. I'm still not crazy on it. But there is a point where you lose me and it's not pro wrestling anymore. And that's where. And listen, again, it's not some tribalism stuff. I'm not here to hate on AEW, but that's indie garbage, if you ask me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, look, we'll get back to Cody and we'll specifically get back to Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
That match, that main event. I don't hate what happened with Moxley in the plastic bag segment.
Yeah,
I don't
that's not
hate
like
that.
I'm not crazy, but it's I can deal.
Honestly, what I didn't like about it was how poorly it looked after, where the Joe Schmo's carrying Brian out
Mm-hmm.
like he's a sack of potatoes. This is your world champion. What the
Yeah,
hell? Like that
yeah.
that
I, I
part was worse. That was the worst part of it to me.
I also wasn't big on just like the scene around Moxley doing it, like Yuta being held back, and it's all awkward to me, and like
See,
wasn't great.
I thought that was decently done. Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
interesting.
because of the story of Yuta wasn't involved. Like I
Well,
get
yes,
it.
yeah.
Yuta wasn't involved, and Brian has been like this mentor to him. Like I get it.
Yeah.
And he's also currently trios champions with Pac and Claudio. Like
Claudio.
that, I don't mind any of that. The only thing I did mind is back to the main event, the needle spot with Hangman and Swerve. That I'm like, look, the chair shot was one thing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's not my cup of tea. It's pro wrestling. You can like it. I don't have to like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of pro wrestling. There's something for everybody who watches. That's not my avenue. That's not what I'm going to watch. If you want to watch it, be my guest. That to me isn't needed. You're telling such a great story that
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I look at it this way, and you can think however you want. When it comes to a story like this, the story you're telling your fans or whatever, the risk versus reward of something like that, the chair shot's going to get him talking anyway. People are going to hate it. People are going to love it, whatever. That spot to me has taken away the attention of how good the story was and the rivalry and everything. Not that you've wasted it,
Mm-hmm.
but now that's what people mainly talk about. Like, I haven't seen anyone really talk about anymore how cool it was, the segment of Hangman burning down Swerve's
Yep.
house. That I
Yeah.
thought was very well done. It feels like an afterthought now because you did something that's so controversial and edgy
Mm-hmm.
that it got people talking, and it created such a divide that's like, was that worth it? Was that juice worth the squeeze for
Yeah.
doing that spot? Did it really enhance the story that much? To me, no, because that's where you
Mm-hmm.
lost someone like me who was interested, and then I'm like, no, now I'm out.
Yeah. It's the same with me, and this is where I guess I sound hypocritical because I'm a proponent of again the attitude era, things like that. I'm okay with a chair shot to the head every now and again. Listen, I get it. Obviously, we've seen what can go wrong, but one, they get tables, that are compressed sawdust, whatever it is. Like maybe they can come out with a way to, make it safer. Maybe they can, create a chair where it's
They have
thinner.
said they
AEW's
dummied their
done that.
chairs.
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah. If I'm not mistaken. If the wrestlers are comfortable with it, things like that. Like, yeah, maybe there's a lot of things that go into it. And it's also like, that's a kill shot. That's an organ punt. That's a you do that once every couple of years, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, you're not busting out chair shots to the head every other show. Um, Back to Hangman and Swerve, though, isn't it also Hangman and Swerve that isn't it Hangman drinks his blood or whatever on whatever show? I kind of forget.
Yes.
That's also like you kind of lose me there. It's
Yes.
there's certain things that are just a bit over the top for me where you're kind of losing the sense of like pro wrestling. On the needle spot again, though, too. One quick thing I gotta say I don't like about it is, again, it's pro wrestling. We have suspended our disbelief to watch what we are watching. When a guy's got somebody bent down for a power bomb and he gets ready and JBL does the cigar and then picks him up, we suspend our disbeliefs that the guy is not fighting out of this power bomb, right? So I get that Hangman is just there, he's taking it, but something about like, or not Hangman, Swerve, something about Swerve just there on his knees, just letting a guy put a needle through him, like, you lost me again.
Yeah. And what I was going to mention is years ago when WWE had Kurt Angle shoot a tranquilizer
Tranquilizer.
at the big show. It's garbage. I don't think
Yeah.
that's good. Like I've seen
Yeah.
people say like, "Oh, like no, that's not good either."
Yeah,
That's
it's
not
not.
like
Listen,
that does nothing for me as well. Like I think that
yeah.
is just as dumb.
Yeah, listen, when I was a kid, did I like it? Yeah, maybe, sure. I actually remember watching that live when it happened. I was also probably 9, like it's been a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So Swerve, though, to get back
Hmm.
to the original topic, Swerve does deserve to be in the top three. MJF, I thought having him over Gunther, blasphemy in my mind. I don't get that. Even with Moxley,
I was just gonna jump in and say, even Moxley to me, I'm not gonna lie, is
like
blasphemy.
these are two guys that have taken extended period of time. Moxley's well deserved. He deserved having time off. That dude,
Yeah.
every single time something went wrong in AEW, it was either he asked to take the title or take back the main event scene, lost vacation after vacation. Like
Mhm.
he deserved time off and he got it. How the hell does that put him over, Gunther? Like to me,
Yeah.
Gunther, like this is again goes back to your listening to the official Gunther Stan account.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
stamped and
Official.
certified,
Yeah.
sponsored by Ludwig Stans as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Big fan of
He should
Kaiser.
not be outside of the top three. And
Yes.
saying it right now, if next year he ain't in the top three, or if he ain't on the damn cover,
This is garbage.
something has severely gone wrong.
Yeah. Again, I even mentioned I love seeing a Damian Priest on there. Deserves it. He's not above Gunther, in my opinion. Maybe he's just under Gunther. Sure. Just another like again, NATO on the list, fine. Osprey at 3. Ah, man, maybe you flip Osprey and Gunther. Maybe that's the trouble here. Maybe it's something like that. Osprey, in my opinion, yeah, maybe he's had a good run this past year, but he's still not above a Gunther to me, man. I don't quite understand it. And I know,
Yeah.
again, this is a newer channel for us. The 45 consistent people that have been watching our videos, maybe they're going to hate us in the comments and call us AEW haters, but it's not that. It's us just using logic. We are really being logical about the list we're looking at, the wrestling we've seen, the content we've been given. It's arbitrary, again, to repeat for the third time. Clearly, there's even another name that just scrolling through is a little bit lower down. I want to bring up 17, Jey Uso on the list. I feel like makes that top 10 before MJF and Moxley. He's had a hell of a year.
He's had a crazy year. And
Yeah.
it also goes back to what are we quantifying for this?
Mm-hmm.
Are we quantifying merch? Jey Uso, as crazy
Top,
as it sounds, has been a top merch seller for WWE this entire
definitely.
year.
And like,
He's
you
been
know what?
crazy.
What's
Main
the
event of Raw almost every week.
Yeah, well, what's the date to date too that we judge this list off of? What matches fall into the category? Does Gunther's world title win even count in this ranking? Or did they come up with the list prior? Who knows? Um, Jey Uso is a name again that I would definitely put above that. It does lead me also think like a guy that is not in the top 10, 20, or whatever fun I've seen. Roman Reigns also only wrestled how many times? How many more matches did MJF have over Roman in the last year?
I don't know.
Not a
I don't
lot.
really.
I really don't
Yeah.
think. Yeah, maybe five or so more, but not a whole lot as far as I know. It's a bit of a strange list, if you ask me.
Yeah, and to put a bow on it,
Mm-hmm.
Gunther is the greatest of all time. I don't care what you say. I don't care what statistic you throw at me. And I love Cody. Cody being number one should be number one.
Yes,
Gunther is the GOAT. And
of
if
all
he
time.
doesn't hold that World Heavyweight Championship for 9,000 days, I'm going to be mad. And it's the perfect segue to the next thing we have to discuss. I love Gunther. I love Cena. I've been seeing a lot of talk about how Gunther's title reign will end at Mania, losing to Cena. This past Monday, Gunther gave a fantastic promo making fun of Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal heel heat.
Unreal.
We know
So
he's
good.
going. We know he's going to face Sami Zayn soon. He's going to right that wrong of his loss at WrestleMania. This is going to be similar to his Intercontinental Championship reign, to where I love Cena and him winning number 17 would be cool, but it really would kind of feel shoehorned in and also not give a good payoff to what you could do for the future of the company
Mm-hmm.
by having Gunther hold that title for, look, it doesn't have to be 666 if you want to think logically. He can hold it for 300 days.
Mm-hmm.
Then he drops it to an Ilya Dragunov, a Chad Gable, any a Jay Uso, any of those guys getting their first world championship or their first singles titles, any of that where they like are so close to the main event scene, they just need that last little, push up, whatever. This is how you legitimize someone. Like, I don't think this should end at Mania losing to Cena, and I love Cena.
Absolutely. Cena is also the GOAT. Love Cena. Not the right guy to be Gunther. Do I want to see Cena get a 17th? Sure, it could happen, but it can happen a different way. Gable is a guy that has been set up long term storytelling wise to have a wonderful moment if he ever is the one to dethrone Gunther down the line. If you give Gable a year or so to build up American Made, build up this stable, maybe get a mid card title run under his belt, become this singles guy, when you get back to that feud with Gunther and you run it back for what, a third time or so, it's going to be incredible. To do it with a guy like John Cena, I get it to a point because it's Cena. And I got to bring up again the regime. If this was still the McMahon regime, Cena pins Gunther for that belt. Undoubtedly. 1000% pins him for the belt. Under Triple H, I don't know. I definitely think the match happens, even at potentially WrestleMania, but I don't know. I could very much see Gunther winning. It's what I would like to see. Cena can get the title again, but Cena more so suits, in my opinion, pinning a Randy Orton for the title, or even honestly, a Cody Rhodes for the title. Gunther is the guy that you really use to put over somebody else, some sort of talent.
My biggest issue with if Cena were to win the title off Gunther, besides the fact that Gunther needs to hold it for the rest of time, is that we know Cena's end date.
Yes.
You mentioned suspending your beliefs. You gotta
Disbelief. So,
disbelief, sorry. Suspend them. We are in a different world.
mm-hmm.
How can you have a guy competing for a title and in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, he's done? He's got no
Mm-hmm.
dates. He's told you. He's announced this is his last year. You're going to sit there and be like, okay, yeah, then he might win. And then he's either going to lose it in the next 2 months. We know it's coming, guaranteed, or he's just going to vacate it. And then this pays off to nothing.
Yeah, it's strange. This is where it's tough, and that's why I say sure to Cena winning a 17th title. Like I honestly don't necessarily need it to begin with because of reasons like that. to put it on him, knowing his end date, and let's not get it twisted. Cena is a hard cutoff retirement. That guy is not wrestling ever again. You can just see it in him. He's very in his ways, I feel, as a human being, in a good way. He's done. When he retires, he's done. So this is their last chance. But if we're going to have him win a title, Mania is kind of the earlier side of the year. At least that gives them more space. If you have Cena win the title in September, October, November, well, he's either vacating it or a month or he loses it to his next opponent. So you only have two kind of options there. It is crazy to see this match even have potential. A matter of years ago, Gunther was still in the company, but you would never think, like, man, Cena's going to win a 17th title and he's going to beat Gunther for it. It's kind of crazy.
And to tie it all together, Gunther's improvement everywhere. If you told me a few years ago they're going to feud, they have to have promos against each other, I would have been like, Cena is going to eat Gunther alive. Granted, I don't know if there is anyone in pro wrestling that Cena can't eat alive right now whenever he wants. We know, and look, even the haters who don't want to admit it, when Cena digs deep, the same thing gets said about him. He finds, different angles about everybody else. Gunther, we saw with that Brett promo, how many times, especially on WWE, is the dig at Brett Sean? That is like the go-to Sean, the screw job, whatever. Gunther showing his improvement, showing how good he is on the mic, like his recent run right before winning the world title, and currently has brought a whole new side to him, his character. Now I'm like, if Cena and Gunther are on the sticks against one another, it ain't going to be a one-sided war. They're going to have, each one of them's going to get their moments, just like Drew and Punk, where, 1 week this guy gets the one, the next week, that's exactly what's going to happen now if they face. If you told me that years ago, I would have been praying for Gunther. I would have said, if what I'm hearing about Walter is true, what I'm hearing is true, poor Walter.
If we can just touch on that for a minute. Oh, man. Listen, Keith Lee. I like Keith Lee. Sure. He was great in WWE, great in NXT. I was main roster stint. I get it. It was the Vince regime, COVID, bad luck. It sucks. It happened to a lot of people. His AEW run, non-existent to a point, in my opinion, to be honest. Very small blip in time.
And there was such a great promise with him and Swerve, too.
Yeah, and it's very forgettable, in my opinion. But, man, is there anything that goes bad quicker than milk? Because I need a new thing to reference in terms of age and badly. That is the worst age tweet of all time.
That is such a bad aging tweet. And it's like, I'm sure he has dealt with plenty about that tweet.
Oh, yeah.
He
must kick himself over that one.
Us and the 30 people that are going to listen to this ain't going to be anything new to him.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I've said some stuff where I'm like, damn, man, that aged terribly.
Terribly, yeah.
I know from experience, and I'm sure you do, especially in sports. You have opinions on players, whatever, a trade, whatever. You press send on that tweet and you're like, in the moment, this makes perfect sense.
Yep.
This won't age terribly. And then bam.
Yikes. Yeah. Yikes is the word. Kenny Pickett's going to be the next big thing. Yeah, exactly. Probably aged some bad text myself. It's illustrious, this Gunther run, the career of Gunther. And, it's a larger WWE career than people realize. That UK run, two of the best matches WWE has ever put on are NXT UK matches that not a lot of people are watching. Both Gunther Ilya matches are incredible. That 600-something day title run, I wish it counted for more, in all honesty. Winning the title, the IC title, I should say, losing that after his run, King of the Ring, right into the world title. What's the stat? 80% of his time he's been a champion or something like that. It's actually unbelievable. Gunther, I get it. He's not, 25-year-old, whatever, 26-year-old Braun Breaker, but he's still got a good 10 years probably with the company if he keeps going. This is only the beginning for Gunther. What's next? Is it a 9,000-day title reign or is it 16 title runs? However they do it with Gunther. You have him lose this title at some point. You have to. You have to think they want to, at a point, get that WWE championship on him, the big WWE logo. He's their guy. You'd think he'd get that belt on him at a time, too. I think that's the one he more so holds for a while. I definitely see this run being, the 300 to 400 day run. I could see it falling at Mania. I could see it falling just past Mania. But I don't know if they go, I don't even know if they hit a year, to be honest, with this world title run.
I don't think so. It's gonna, it's gonna be a solid reign because I mean, Priest was a couple months. It wasn't super short, but it wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
crazy long. McIntyre obviously was only 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Rollins held it for over 200 something days. I do think they'll establish Gunther as the longest holder of this title. I can't imagine they wouldn't because
I
they
agree.
can very easily get there. On the topic of him holding the WWE championship one day, I have said it in whatever video, I don't know. Him versus Cody is
Money.
the match for me because they faced at the end of that Royal Rumble. And they really have not crossed paths since. They've been on separate brands a good amount. When Cody was on Raw, Gunther was on SmackDown as the IC champion. Cody, they had the little bit of the overlap, but Cody was really, we knew he was going to SmackDown at some point. That to me is, we throw this around pretty easily and sometimes too often, but that to me is a WrestleMania main event.
1,000%. I was waiting for you to finish so I can go on and say that once WWE kind of gets through this big bloodline tenure story, the Cena return run, The Rock, once you kind of get through those main bigger attractions and you have a bit more of like current openness, current wrestlers, maybe it's Mania 42, maybe it's 43. Gunther versus Cody has to main event Mania. There's no way it doesn't. Keep this video, bookmark it. It main events 42 or 43, absolutely in my mind. The only thing, honestly, that maybe does it over at 42 is I do think Gable and Gunther is Mania main event worthy. And I think it could even be at 41, but I don't know if that's enough time to really set Gable up for it. If Gunther's a champion by then at 42, maybe he does hold this title that long. He's at that point of he's the main event loss when he loses. Doesn't matter. You don't, I mean, you could have him lose at any show, but it's the same thing with Roman. You had him lose at Mania, the biggest moment of all time. You would do the same thing with Gunther. He would lose at Mania. And it, to me, I mean, right now, might be 2 years later, Gable's the guy for that. Get that title off him, have him go into a Cody feud. I don't want it to be too far out, though, is the problem. Again, like you already said, it's been a while since the Rumble even. You don't want these guys to kind of never cross paths. You want to make it happen before it never happens.
Yeah, but right now is where you can establish with him being the world champion, Cody being the WWE champion. This is your chance to establish them as the main guys on each brand. Similar to a guy that I want to get into next, Batista, with him and
Mm-hmm.
Cena, them often being on opposite brands, them often being the champions at the same time. You knew at some point their paths were going to cross. Yeah, you'd have these moments on the joint pay-per-views where you would have a segment or two, they backstage, bump shoulders, whatever. At the Royal Rumble, they're both there as the balls are being drawn, whatever. You have those little snippets, but the moment they actually face, you
Mm-hmm.
know it's coming at some point, and you kind of, you keep following the breadcrumbs. That's where I think we are. They're kept separate, but let's establish Gunther as the main guy on Raw. Even even though Punk is probably the face of Raw, is like the biggest star, Gunther's the champion, and he's got
Yeah.
to be respected and treated as so.
Yeah, absolutely. It is kind of comparable to Batista and Cena. Batista's a great name drop there. And I do want to go back. I got to watch his Chris Van Vliet interview. Still yet to see that. I've been hearing great things about that. Batista's the go-to. I know we, again, throw that term around a lot. We've said it like 9 times in this video. He's the
Yeah.
GOAT, man. Love
We
Batista.
we're gonna talk about him in a second.
Yeah, that's fair. The Cena, again, return match, Gunther, that I think happens again at Mania 41. I just wanted to get back to that real quick. I don't know if I need Cena winning the title. If he doesn't win the title, what do you do? How do you have him win it if you're going to have him win it?
He doesn't.
Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly.
like I love Cena. I don't think, first off, I don't think he's like asking for it.
Definitely doesn't care. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say doesn't care because I think he would
Mm-hmm.
care
Like
for it.
it.
He would yeah,
Yeah,
he'd
yeah,
understand the
yeah.
magnitude. But I think he also gets the state of the WWE right now.
Mm,
It would kind of really twist plans up. I can't say that they've obviously known he's going to retire and they could plan ahead. They still have plenty of time. But I think we all know him having that, IC title run to become Grand Slam or world title run to become 17 time. It is a great moment, but it doesn't do as much for the future of the company. And right now, his retirement tour is focused around two things. One, celebrating him and his career, and two, having him give the rub to all of these other people for the future of the company and the industry.
yeah, there's a lot of guys Cena can give that rub to. And Gunther, even though I do want the match, doesn't need the Cena rub, even to me. In all honesty, I think guys like Braun and Carmelo and whatnot, and the Theory, who already had it in a way, can use it more than, say, a guy like Gunther. It is very intriguing. I am looking very forward to where they go with this Cena run. There's a lot they can do. We've talked about it. We did a whole podcast on it. There's a lot of avenues they can go with Cena. A lot of guys I want to see them face. I don't know if I need Gunther. A random name I'm about to drop, very popular name, a match that I need to see that I don't know if we ever will, but I'd rather Gunther get the rub from a Brock Lesnar. I think that more so suits even a Mania match to me. Brock doesn't need the title. Gunther going over him, I think does more for Gunther than him even going over Cena.
Yeah, I think just the name, not that Brock is a bigger name than Cena, but beating Brock and how little he wrestles, how little he loses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Cody beat Cena, it's really not that surprising. Cena has come back and lost to literally everybody.
Solo, Theory.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
exactly. Cody beating Brock was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he won. They are putting the rocket on this guy. He got the best of, he pinned him, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is big,
Big.
big moment. So with Gunther, to me, I agree. Like that is a much bigger impact to the future of him. And when he faced off with Orton and you saw him look normal in there, look natural, look like he deserved to be there, be in the main event, I saw that and I was like, this is enough for me.
Yeah.
He's that guy. Like I love Cena. He doesn't need this Cena rivalry.
Yeah, he doesn't. Again, there's just, and it's not even, to me, it's more so not that he doesn't, but that others do.
Yeah.
Again, like it would be so much more valuable for some other guys on the roster. But maybe Cena wrestles more than we even think. Who knows? Maybe these guys get the rub and Gunther does. It's just, it's crazy to have a guy that is still kind of so new in a way that is so good. I'm sitting here saying he doesn't need a John Cena rub. That's crazy. That's crazy. Not
And
many guys can I say that about.
that's why he is the GOAT.
The
Simple
GOAT.
as that. He's the greatest of
The
all
GOAT.
time.
It's greatest of
One
all time.
we mentioned Batista.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen the Chris Van Vliet interview, go watch it. You need to watch it.
I
There
do.
is one part that I do want to talk about
Hmm.
in it, and this isn't a spoiler because it's been posted a million times and the damn video's out. But Batista talks about not feeling like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And it's such like an interesting talking point to me because first of all, this is a guy who mentions many times he doesn't care about accolades. Like he doesn't need that. He doesn't need the,
Hmm.
almost feels awkward being kind of paraded around, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But if there was like ever, we grew up on him, so I know we probably have a bit of a different feel compared to some other people.
Yeah.
But if there was ever like, I don't care if your peak was only 5 years, 5 years, you were one of the faces of the company for 5 years. Like you, at one point, were so clear as the next guy. You won multiple world championships,
Yeah.
multiple historic feuds, massive WrestleMania wins. Like, I don't know if there's ever been a more deserving Hall of
Hall
Famer.
of
Like,
Famer.
I know it's like his personality thinking, kind of being a little bit pessimistic. But if he ain't a Hall of Famer, then literally probably about 7/8 of the WWE Hall of Fame has to be taken out.
Yeah, listen, if Batista is not a Hall of Famer, I don't think Coco Beware is either. Like I don't, there's a few
Coco
names.
Beware just caught a stray.
He thinks just catch a stray. Sorry, Coco Beware. Nothing against you. It fits the bill though of a name that would not be in the Hall of Fame if Batista's not. It is interesting to think 5 years is his career. It's a long time. It's a little time. Growing up watching him, it's a long time. He's the face of the company. He was world champion. 5 years lasted a while. He did a lot in 5 years.
5 years is his peak, is what I meant to
His
say.
peak,
Like
yes,
his
yes,
like
yes.
peak.
His
He
like
obviously
peak five
wrestled and
years.
was in the company for more than 5 years,
Yes.
but his prime time was 5 years.
It'd be like I'm trying to think back to somebody from 5 years ago. Austin Theory debuted on Raw during the COVID era, Thunderdome. It'd be like if Theory left WWE right now and was just done. That'd be
Yeah.
his 5 years. Like it feels like Theory debuted yesterday. It's crazy to think that it was only like a 5 year run when a lot of these guys, I mean, maybe we're a bit more spoiled, our age group being the ages we are now in comparison to being kids then. Like we have seen the Kofi Kingstons, the John Cenas, the Miz's, the guys that have 10, 15, 20-year runs, Rey Mysterios, back when we weren't even born. Those guys didn't have runs like that. They didn't have, for the most part, Undertaker like runs. These guys didn't last ages. So maybe we're a bit spoiled now, and like a 5 year run sounds short, but it's not. That's a good, stellar Hall of Fame run, especially with what he accomplished under it. I'm a little upset that I have money on a Aaron Judge home run and
Juan
Juan
Soto just
Soto
hit
just hit one. Yeah, that's why I was
Yeah.
looking up if you called me, and I'm gonna be a little grumpy about that one.
A little grumpy. You're doing your best Bret Hart impersonation.
Yeah,
No, but it is crazy if you think about it. He wins the Royal Rumble in what, 2005, I think it is.
yeah, yeah.
And so that's like, I will say that is the start of his peak. That is the
Hmm.
start of his, it really is the start of his main event run. I know he was obviously with Evolution already, but he wasn't the guy. He was
Yeah.
being built up to be the guy. So 2005, that's when it really gets going. He's going to start being a solo act, push to the next level. Wins at Mania that year, beats Triple H, wins the title. And then from that point on, I mean, he faces Undertaker in a Mania match, which again, like you're putting yourself in Hall of Fame contention, just having the honor of facing Taker during his run.
Hmm.
Has the match, I think, what he faced Umaga one year.
Yeah.
Has the Cena match.
Yeah,
Like
that's right. Wow, that is a crazy
you
one,
get
the
to the
Umaga
point
match.
now, and I started thinking because he mentions, 2010 he's gone, and I was like, oh no, that doesn't sound right. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, yeah, 2011, he's not there. That's Punk
Hmm.
really becomes big in 2011. The summer of Punk is then.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, his peak really is only around 5 years. And I think what makes it feel like it was longer is because he came up with Randy and came up with Cena, and their peaks were all kind of starting at the same. I know
Mm,
Randy obviously won the title before him, but the fact that his name was always joined with them, just in my head, those two guys wrestled for 15 plus years in WWE. To me, I'm like, yeah, Batista just went 10 and, went out 5 years ago, not thinking, no, he only went five and that
yeah,
like that is crazy to me. And to do all of that in just 5 years, it's almost as crazy as what Brock did in his 2 to 3 years in his first WWE stint. Like that's
yeah,
insane how much can get done in such a short time period.
yeah. Brock arguably has the craziest, like short, small debut stint, however you want to label it. Obviously his return to now has been a very, very long run, but that initial run is insane. Batista is one of the only maybe people you can kind of compare it to. Obviously, again, he had that brief like year or two with Evolution prior to his main stint, but still a pretty fresh face back then. It is one thing I will say before we kind of finish up, just again about Batista. Very simple. It's crazy that it was almost never Batista. We almost had the stellar 75 to 7 year Mark Jindrak run.
So I don't want to spoil the podcast,
Yeah.
but he does put a debunk to that.
Really?
Yes.
Really? But that's interesting. I'm going to go listen to this interview for sure because I want to see how he debunks it because there's footage of Evolution with Jindrak. So I,
Correct.
I got to see how they get into this. But
It is very much so debunked.
that's very intriguing. Wow, that's
Yeah.
actually like I'm going to go watch this interview. That's
Yes, it
good
is
to
it
hear.
is a fantastic interview.
Yeah.
And I do have to see this movie.
Yo, Killer's Game, I want to see. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
And Drew also had an interview with Chris Van Vliet for the movie, and that was another great one. Everybody should check that out. I also just honestly shout out to Chris Van Vliet. Incredible, to be honest. Great interviewer.
Great first name.
Great first name. C3 Wrestling, baby.
Yeah.
You know?
No, he's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's not a copycat or anything with the name, but
Yeah. Yeah.
he's great. His interviews were great. Definitely want to see the Killer's Game. I'm a big movie guy, if you didn't know. Uh, I've always been like kind of like I gotta see the wrestler movies, like all of them. Like growing up, like I had to see them. And obviously it used to be WWE Studios, used to have the Marine and
Yeah,
whatnot.
you got that chaperone poster right over there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's a crazy one. That's a crazy one to reference. I have seen the chaperone with
I have too.
Paul Levesque, you know. That is a funny one. That's good. Man, it's what man what's it called? There was actually a movie with it was like the first acting role Edge had. Oh man,
Oh,
I think it's with Jamie Kennedy.
yeah, I'm never gonna
I'm
remember
not,
the
yeah, I
name.
forget, but I remember. I just grow up, watch all those movies. It's so crazy. Like nowadays, The Rock, Batista, John Cena are the arguably three of the biggest actors in the world. That's so crazy. And
Yeah.
now you're having guys like Damian Priest was almost a major Marvel role. Becky Lynch has done some stuff. Seth has done some stuff. Drew's getting involved. Charlotte has a show or something coming. Whatever. It's crazy to see all these wrestlers be so involved in the mainstream. Those WWE studio movies were always like niche movies. Obviously The Rock and Batista and Cena are Hollywood big stars, but seeing a guy like Drew in the movie is great.
It's awesome. I mean, he's the character that he plays that they've said, he obviously is like the perfect fit. I don't know if there's anyone currently on the planet who's a better fit than him from how they described the
Yeah,
character
yeah.
in talking about it. I will say on the topic of like wrestler movies,
Hmm.
I am a bit surprised. I know this is like funny to say
Hmm.
because he made a character out of this and like the jokes. I am surprised The Miz hasn't gotten like
A bigger
actual
role.
roles. Like
Yeah,
he just looks the part.
yeah.
He obviously has some experience. It is kind of funny, the whole A-lister playing into it all of that. Like that is great. But he is like a lot of oh, there's the NBA celebrity basketball game. The Miz is there. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
there's a celebrity golf tournament. The Miz is there. They're going to an NFL set. Like the Miz is like he is. I don't want to say a household name because
Hmm.
that's something that kind of gets thrown around a little too easily. But he's a massive name. I'm shocked he hasn't gotten at least like a smaller role. And
Yeah.
maybe he's been offered it and he's turned it down. I have no idea. But I'm shocked he hasn't like had some sort of role
Some
like
sort
that.
of role. I agree. He does fit the bill for so much stuff too. And, I mean, maybe he has been offered something. Who knows? He again, the household name is thrown around a lot, but he is up there with some other names. Maybe he's not a John Cena quite yet, but Miz has also done stuff outside of wrestling, like you said, All Star games, things like that.
The real
Uh,
world,
the real
obviously.
world, I was just going to get into the challenge, all those shows and whatnot. He obviously has some fame through there. He's gone back and done reunion shows or whatever he's done for those. It's funny to think too. Just this is another like weird like thing. They did a spin-off of the challenge show, which I don't know if Miz hosted the season, I forget, but it was like an all-star versus pros or champs or whatever they called it. I remember watching it because I had to go watch it for CM Punk.
You have mentioned this,
Yes,
yes.
that's so crazy to think back to. It's funny, and Punk's even done a movie or two. He's another guy that's kind of gotten involved in that world. But I do want to bring up WWE movies. It's hard for me to kind of think of them all on the spot. Do you have a favorite wrestling movie? Maybe if it's not even WWE, it could be Ready to Rumble. It could be something like that. But I don't. Do you have a favorite?
I do love Ready to Rumble. I'm trying to
That's a good movie.
think if there's like one that I like more than the other. On the spot, it's tough. I do have to say, like talking about wrestling movies,
Mhm.
I can't get the image out of my head of Rusev in his gear holding
Yeah,
a
holy
gun.
God.
That's
Who
just all
thought
that's in
of
my
that?
head.
Who thought of that, man? Yeah,
I've
that is
never
a
seen that
crazy one.
movie, but I've seen that clip like a million
That is
times.
that is a crazy one. Like the immediates that come to mind for me are the Marine is great, 12 rounds is great.
See no evil.
See no evil. Yes, Kane is obviously fantastic in that. Um, I'm trying to like not include like Iron Claw because that would probably take the list for me.
Yeah.
But something about the Marine Man, John Cena, younger John Cena, he did a few even himself. Triple H doing movies. There was a lot of which is crazy to me. And this is one I have to mention. This is probably my favorite. Stone Cold, The Condemned. That's the movie right there. That's a good one.
So it's funny. I was thinking I'm like, well, I can't say the longest yard, even though Stone Cold's like he's in it,
He's in
and so
it.
is the Great
Khali,
Khali.
Kevin
Like
Nash. Yeah,
Kevin, yeah, Kevin Nash too. Like
yeah,
there's wrestlers in it, but I'm not like,
yeah,
oh, favorite wrestling movie. Like that's
yeah,
an eight. I think more like they gotta be like the star of the movie or
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
co-star.
yeah.
But there have been some bad movies.
Bad movies, real bad.
I've never seen
Like,
this one movie. Apparently,
yeah.
it's pretty good. Apparently, the WWE Scooby Doo movie is pretty
It's
solid.
pretty good. I bet it is. Scooby Doo kicks ass. Scooby
Yeah.
Doo's the shit, so it probably does. John Cena and the Scooby Doo and the gang teaming up to solve crime. Yeah, if I was 11, I'd be watching it. That's a
Yeah.
fact.
11 might be a little old. If I was like 6 or 7,
Nah,
then
if I was 11, I'd be watching it. Yeah.
if I was 27, I'd watch it.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah. It's funny. It's there's another movie I want to bring up. A comedy movie. It's maybe not talked about enough. I think it's hilarious. MacGruber, if you haven't seen it.
Yes.
There's a
Co-
lot of guys in
Co-hosted
there.
Raw or hosted Raw, the one
Yeah, yep, GM Raw, yep. Mark Henry, Jericho, Khali, Big Show has a hilarious spot in that movie. That's so funny. That's another one where like they're not the key guys, but it's funny to see them use all the wrestlers in that.
I feel like Big Show. Oh, he's in
He
was
had
it
his like show, but he did a movie too. He did a I forget what it's called. It was some man, I forget what it is.
he had a movie, right? I can't
Yes,
think.
he did. Yes, he did. Yeah, I'm gonna forget. Um, oh, Goldberg's in the long short too. That's right.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's
But
crazy.
The Longest Yard is pretty much a wrestling movie at this
Yeah,
point.
it's pretty much wrestling. When
Even being a
95%,
remake.
and even the one guy that's not a wrestler, the really fast guy, he looks like JTG. So I mean,
Isn't it Nelly?
I have no idea. Man. Is it Nelly? Is it Nelly?
Is it
Well,
Nelly?
Nelly looks like JTG. I gotta
Who
look it
is
up. I gotta look it
I,
up.
It's I can't remember, but isn't
Are
it
you
like
looking it up?
Nelly? It's,
Is it Nelly? Am I just that crazy? I've seen The Longest Yard honestly probably like
is
50
it
times
isn't it
too.
a rapper?
Yeah, it's Nelly. It's Nelly. Yeah, it's Nelly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets the cleats and the
Yeah,
cake.
he gets the cleats and the
Yeah.
cake. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? He fits the bill. He's in jail. Crime time, baby. That's JTG for you,
I'm like, you talking about Nelly?
Dude, I honestly like again, I've seen that movie 50 times probably. I forgot that that's Nelly. That's so funny. There's a
Yeah.
lot of names in that movie. It's just funny actors, great names. But man, I feel like we're gonna end this podcast and a movie that I'm trying to think of is gonna come to mind immediately, and I'm gonna be upset that I didn't think of it.
Yeah, it almost feels like we should have made this a segment, done our homework,
Yeah,
gone through, but we shoot from the hip here and
yeah,
sometimes things just fly, they fly. This
yeah.
this will be something that we will revisit at some
We'll
point. I do
revisit the movies.
I do have a series idea that at some point we will do,
Mhm.
and a wrestling movie category for my idea I think is a good thing, whether it be they have to star in it or they can just co-star, cameo, whatever.
Mhm.
I think that this is a good topic that we
That
will
is a good
revisit
topic.
one day.
Yeah, we definitely will. Yeah, we'll keep that one on the back burner for a little bit.
Yeah, and I have dibs on talking about John Cena being on Hannah Montana.
All right. Well, I get to talk about him being on Fred. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Fred. All right,
Oh, man. Yeah.
before we go, we
Yeah.
will finish the show with both of us doing Fred impressions. You want me to
All
go
right.
first, or you want to go
Yeah.
first?
No, you're going first. Yeah, you're going first. Yeah.
All right. Let me channel my inner WWE wrestler gone actor or actress. I can't even look at you because I'll laugh while I do it. All right. So it's Rob. there's my there's my attempt. There's my attempt. Oh, it's Rob.
All right. All
Oh,
right. All right.
Rob. All
Whew. All right.
right.
This is okay. We're going to start off just briefly. I am not an impressionist. Okay. We're going to start with that. All right. All right. All right. All right.
All right. I won't look at you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll just look away. I'll just look away. Hey, it's Fred. I can't. I'm so bad, man. I'm so bad.
I'm crying. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Crying.
Yeah. Oh my. Oh wow. If there was ever a way to wrap the show,
That
it
is
was
it.
with the perfect do the opposite of what Fred sounds like.
Yeah. Listen,
Oh
if
man.
you were to tell me ending the episode with Fred impressions was on our bingo card, I would have said you were absolutely crazy. I
Uh,
have a deep voice, I suppose. I hear myself differently than other people hear me. I'm told all the time my voice is incredibly deep. Whatever reason, I have a block. I cannot do a high pitched voice. It is impossible for me. And you just got a glimpse of it by me pretending to be Fred. Hey, it's Fred. That's the extent of
you
it.
know what? We at some point need like an intro song, whatever, to
Mm-hmm.
the podcast. Maybe it's just you trying to do Fred impressions instead. Maybe it's just you rapping Cena's basic
No,
thugonomics in a Fred impression.
well, man, maybe we shouldn't do this idea. Could get in trouble for it, to be honest. But maybe I'll have to go through and do impressions of all the wrestlers one day. Foreign accents, whatnot. Maybe once we build some followers, we'll get a rated R episode in.
Yeah, yeah. When that's a risk you're willing to
Yeah.
take.
Once we
Yeah,
maybe we'll set up a Patreon one day or something for that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I will say though, before we go,
Mm.
in a little over a month's time, there will be a Halloween podcast
Yes.
where we will be dressed up. And maybe that will be the next time you get an impersonation. So if you've made it this far, you've got Fred impressions that is definitely going up on social media anyway. You're getting Fred impressions, and you got the little news that we will dress up as the most random wrestlers possible.
And make it known that we are not going to tell each other what we're dressing up as. It's going to be a surprise to each of us too. Try and pop each other for the video. I'm going to go as ridiculous as I can, to be honest. It's going to be great. Speaking of great, our channel, baby, C2 Wrestling. We have a lot of great content already out. A lot more coming, like we just said. Like and subscribe. Go down below, comment. Let us know who you want to see us dress up as. I want to see what you say in the comments. Who do you think we're going to be? I have some ideas in my head already. Hit those buttons. Follow us on X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media. You get it. I don't got to repeat it all. You will find us next time.